Hi, welcome to the show. My name is Jesse Goldberg, and my guest today is Stacy Ries Snyder.
Perfect.
Used to be just Stacy Ries, right?
Yep, used to
And
be
now you're
Stacy Lynn.
Ries
Oh, it used to be Stacy Lynn Ries. Can you get any more country than that?
Stacy Lynn Ries?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, because that's your middle name.
That's my middle name.
Original name. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
You just dropped the Lynn.
Yeah, I added on, tacked on Snyder. You know, if I had glasses and were a male over 40, they'd probably say I were an axe murderer or something. You know, those three names.
Oh. so you're running for Congress, right?
Yes, sir, I am.
In the 5th Congressional District.
Yes, sir.
Which is?
Davidson County, Dixon County, and 95% of Cheatham County. There's just a couple boxes up in Pleasant View I don't have, but everything else is
So it's the whole
fine.
Davidson County?
All of Davidson County.
So right now, Jim Cooper is the congressman of the whole Davidson County?
All of Davidson, all of Dixon, and 99% of Cheatham.
Oh,
So-
I didn't know that.
Yep. Well, they redistricted a couple years ago because it used to be a portion of Cheatham, a portion of Davidson, and a portion of Wilson, and now it's all three of those. And I'm lucky because if you've seen what some of the other congressmen's districts are like, they are very gerrymandered.
There's some people outside. It's hard for a Republican to win in. You're running a Republican, right?
Yes, sir.
And you won the primaries, right?
Yes, sir. By 51% out of 3.
It's you got 51%.
51% of the vote out of 3. I worked my little tail off.
Well, it's good.
Yeah.
But it's so hard for a Republican to win in Davidson County. The only 2 blue counties in Tennessee, you know, Memphis and Nashville.
Shelby and Davidson. Well,
Right.
You're correct. Now, I will tell you that the counties are slowly changing. When it was first redistricted, they thought Dixon County was very Democrat, and it was, and they thought Cheatham County was very Democrat. But what you have are farmers, you have blue-collar people, you have military folk, you have housewives.
I didn't think that Dixon County was Democrat. Is it?
They thought it was, and they gave it to Jim Cooper. They districted it in such a way that they thought he would be happy with that, so that when the redistricting was finished after the census, they didn't want him to sue and say, hey, you've gerrymandered me out of a district deliberately. So they gave him the districts, those 3 counties, all right together that they thought were Democrat. But now, I'm telling you, it's changed, and it's changed dramatically even since 2 years ago. If I were, when we go out to the rural counties, those 2 outer counties, we just try to hit big groups of people. We're not, even in a primary.
Right.
We're not trying to find Republicans or Democrats, okay, where normally you are. We just try to find big groups of people and meet a lot of folks. 2 years ago, if they would have asked me if I were Democrat or Republican, I had a 50% chance that one person was really going to like me and one person was really going to hate me. This time, it's changed so much, so quickly. I think if I wouldn't have told them if I would have told them I were a Democrat, they would have torn my pamphlet up. They are so upset. And they're upset with Republicans, too. They feel that Congress has promised them and then went right up there and did something completely different.
Well, it's just total gridlock is what it is. Everybody, it's the country's, this is the 3rd most divided I've seen this country. And, of course, the most divided was during the Civil War.
Of course.
That was the most. And the Vietnam War thing, going around for that, but that was really, really divided. And now it's divided now. So.
It is, and it's a shame.
Well, according to Charles Kratheimer, he says, let me get this right. Liberals think conservatives are evil, and conservatives just think liberals are stupid. Something like that.
Oh, I don't know.
That's what he said.
I have to give people more credit than that. I think it is 2 entirely different viewpoints of what people think is the best.
Well, you know something, most people, I consider myself most people, are in the middle somewhere.
I think so.
They have liberal views and conservative views.
Yes.
And that's where I stand. It depends on the issue.
I think so. People were talking about the low turnout for the primaries this time, but I think what's happening is, and I do understand that people are not as engaged to vote, or they think their vote doesn't matter. I understand that. But I think what you're seeing is fewer and fewer people identifying with parties and more of them kind of in the middle going for the individual. I really think that's it. And the party primaries really affect the people that are into inside baseball, for either parties. So I think there's a lot of people like that. And I think the parties are responsible for that. If they'd have kept their word, both sides.
Well, the reason why I don't like the Democrats is because of, well, first of all, Obamacare almost bankrupts me. You know, I mean, my health insurance bill, believe it or not, was $1,126 a month.
My gosh.
It's a lot of money.
Yes, it is for a working
Right.
for a working man. It sure
Right,
is.
It's a lot of money, and it's just blowing up on its own.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
that-
they thought that the young people wanted insurance.
they don't even need it. They don't.
Well, that's the thing
And
that
they
they
can
messed
sign
up on.
and they can sign up for it if they get sick.
Yeah.
You know, so it's so stupid.
Yeah. They completely
So-
misread. But I don't know. There are people that I talk to that would say that,
Well,
you know,
the
it was on
poorer
her-
you are, the more you like Obamacare, because it's free. It's basically free.
Right, you're having to pay for less.
Right.
But it ain't going to be there
Right.
because it's imploding.
Right.
Good luck with that.
And I don't know. That's just my view. But just my view
That's
is
a lot of people's view.
Yeah, but my view on the social issues are different. My view on social issues are all, I'm from New York. You do it. I don't care what you do. I'm very liberal on those kind of issues.
But you'll
So-
find in the Republican Party, you have the super duper conservatives.
One thing I don't like
Yeah.
is somebody who runs for office who lies all the time and gets away with it. That's what I don't like. And that's
No
what-
one in America
and
likes
that's what
that.
they got on the Democratic side right now. And that's, with Hillary Clinton, I said, this is ridiculous. This woman's crooked. I mean, Donald Trump is right.
Yeah.
This whole Clinton Foundation thing, I said, well, geez, I'm just a guy who watches the news all the time. I say,
Yeah.
How could they not see this? If the tables were reversed, meaning that, if it was all these Democrats say, oh, it's nothing. But if it was a Republican doing this,
Yeah.
they would be doing the same thing. I said, look what she did. Who innocent erases 30,000 emails once they've been subpoenaed by
Right.
Congress?
Right.
Who innocent does that? And they complained about, the Democrats on the other side complained about Richard Nixon when he
And it was
erased,
next to nothing
he erased
compared to what she's
15
done.
minutes of
Yes.
tape or something, and she erased 33,000
Yeah.
emails. And it's they're finding out now that, with the scraps they can put together, that some of that stuff was relevant.
Yeah.
And how can anybody not see that as crooked?
They just don't want to. They just don't want to. And the other part of that is it's pretty hard to say that it's an accident when it's 30,000. Maybe one or two you could say, oh, I'm sorry, I erased that.
Well, she did it.
She bleached it too.
Right,
so
right.
it's more than just erasing. It is coming in and completely.
Right.
And I think it was Donald Trump today. Was it Donald Trump today? It was somebody else it was Donald Trump today that talked about what an expensive process that is to get rid of those emails and then bleach them.
Right.
Okay, so this is not, oh, whoops, I hit delete. And all these
Right.
things were selected. Oh, I'm so sorry. No, this was a step further. So,
Circumstantial evidence like that is evidence of
oh,
guilt.
you and I'd be in jail.
Right.
We'd be in jail. Forget
Right.
it. Martha Stewart. They put Martha Stewart under house. Well, I guess she went to. I guess she had a little time
Right.
in a penitentiary and then had house arrest.
Here's
And that was for lying.
Here's another thing.
Yeah.
They take these baseball players who are in front of Congress, and they try to. Or Roger Clemens, I don't know if you know who he is, but he was
Yeah,
a pitcher
yeah.
for the Red Sox.
Yeah.
They try to get him in front of Congress just so he can get him to lie about his steroid thing, right? And he wouldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And who cares about it if he does that or not? That's not a congressional thing.
It's
but I mean,
not.
Hillary Clinton gets up in front of Congress and lies, and FBI and lies, and the people and lies, and nothing ever happens to them.
And it's so much worse.
They're throwing baseball players in
Yeah.
jails, like this guy Aurelio Rodriguez for lying in front of Congress. It's so stupid. Anyway,
It's unbelievable. And that is a great point. That's a great point. What he does affects nobody but himself, maybe
Right.
his teammates, okay? She went out and said, oh, yeah, we're going to arrest that man that did that video, and this was all about that video, and 4 brave Americans died, and one of them was tortured to death, okay? And then she lied to their families. And then that's Benghazi, obviously, and then you move on to the email stuff, where she has basically opened up or put the country in jeopardy, and she doesn't care, and nothing happens, and she continually lies.
I think the email stuff is the worst because.
And the
it showed-
foundation stuff.
Yeah, that's why, because I think what happened when the emails were showing the foundation stuff, where it was a pay for play. I think that's what was in the emails that was really damaging. That the really stuff that I just my own opinion. I don't know if I'm just right or not, because they're all saying, well, there's no smoking gun, there's no evidence, because you erased all the evidence. That's why there's no evidence.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of stuff that, you know, I don't know. I'm not really a conservative or a liberal. I just looking at that. I said, this is just looking at it as a regular person saying, this is crooked.
You're just like the people that I talked to on the campaign trail. And they're looking at it just like you. They're watching a little bit of this news over here, a little bit of this news over here,
Right.
and they're going, what the French toast?
Right.
So,
Well, what's the French? I never heard that one before. Anyway,
well, you have to be a little bit more creative sometimes, and it's more fun.
let's talk about some of the,
Okay.
you wanted to talk about some of the issues,
Yeah,
like the veterans issues.
Veterans are big for me. I come from a military family. My dad, everybody actually was in the Army.
Him right there?
Yeah, the guy that looks like Howard Cosell. Although he's got a hat on tonight, so he's incognito. He served in the Army. My 3 uncles served in the military. My father-in-law was a Rakkasan, a paratrooper. My grandpa earned a Silver Star in the Battle of the Bulge, World War II. So I come from military.
A lot of people died in that battle.
Yes, he was blessed.
Thousands and thousands, and that was at the end of the war.
And you know, the thing was, he was in tanks. He was in a tanker, and they had told him where he needed to be, and he wasn't supposed to do anything. They saw the Germans, and when the Germans would turn their tanks on, there was a little pipe in the back that would get red and heat up, and he could see them, and they started picking them off. When they would, because it was cold. When they turned their tank on to heat up, that little pipe would turn red, and they'd be able to pick them off. And so he's very, very clever, and he was a man's man. My grandpa, he was incredible. And he was a fireman. And then on my dad's side, that's Mama's side, and then on my dad's side, one of my uncles retired from the Fort Wayne, Indiana Police Department as a lieutenant. So when you've got all these people hating the cops so much, or actually not all these people, small percentage of the population being extremely vocal, it's very, very personal to people that have had, you know, he's been shot, he's been stabbed, he's been beat up on, you know.
Right.
So anyway, so the military is number one. So here's the thing. What we were talking about before we were going, where I was trying to look up so I could give you exact quotes.
Right.
We spend stupid money, stuff like $2.6 million to teach Asian prostitutes to drink more responsibly.
That's a very good cause. You know any Asian prostitutes? I know a lot of Asian prostitutes.
Well, wait, they're not here.
They're all
over
drunks.
there.
They're all drunks. We need to fix that.
Well, gosh, do you blame them? Heck, I'd be drinking. Gee whiz. Almost $600,000 to study. You're going to think I'm kidding about this. To study why chimpanzees throw their poop.
Oh, that's
See, that's a good
you ever
one
been
too,
to
right?
the zoo? Of course you want to know that.
You want to know why?
Yeah.
Yeah, you want your taxpayer money funding that.
I know apes do throw their poop, but I didn't know chimpanzees do it also.
Yep. So now we have men and women serving overseas. They can't get the equipment they need because we don't have the budget. And that's actually just 2 out of a whole list. There's actually a website that talks about stupid stuff, and it blows your mind. It blows your mind.
You know, Megan Berry just did something that was pretty good. She has given new equipment to the police. I thought that was pretty good.
It's great. It's great because they are the people that are willing to give their lives to defend us, to protect us. And the military does the same thing. When they wake up every morning, they say, Mr. President, people of America, I'm willing to give you everything I have today, including my life, to defend our way of life.
So what can you do that the guy in there now is not doing?
Well, for the veterans, what I'd like to do is work very hard because I got to find other people that think like me.
the other congressman, Jim Cooper.
Yeah. 26 years. 26 years.
Really?
26 years. He has been a congressman. He's been 14 in this district, 12 in another. That's the definition of an insider. And if you haven't gotten done what you want to get done in 26 years, what's the deal? And get this, I am the first woman to be nominated to run for Congress in this district. Okay? There was another lady that ran in 2010, but I'm the first one that won my nomination. But I did it as a Republican. So the Democratic Party always touts that they're the party of women, but it was a Republican. But why is that? Well, that's because this guy is sitting up there, 26 years, a relic. Do you know, it's not quite 26 years, but when I was in college, I graduated from Belmont in '93. So somewhere around 1990, my parents got me a telephone, and it was a suitcase telephone. Okay? We now carry, you know, telephones.
Right, I know.
Yeah, that look like this, smartphones. Okay? When he was in office, I was carrying a suitcase phone. That's how far technology has come. That's how far our people have changed.
Well, what turned me against him was the Obamacare thing. I mean, I went to a meeting and he was there, and she said he was going to, you know, he voted for it. And I said, this is not going to work, and this is going to, but it came on TV, and Obama said, it's only going to affect this tremendous increase only affects 6% of the people, those people who buy their own insurance. I said, hey, I'm one of those 6% of the people.
But you don't count.
So it started out, my rates have doubled, have doubled, and I told you I'm paying $1,126. That's a lot of money.
And yet it was supposed to help the working folk, and it's not. It's penalizing the working folk.
And my insurance, my deductible's higher, but I'm covered for mammograms now, and I'm
well, you eat any more pizzas, and you may need one.
I'm covered. I'm covered for drug rehab stuff. I'm covered. I think Pap smears are in there, but I'm not sure.
Probably, and birth control, because you know that's something that affects you every day.
Right. So
yeah.
It's like
you can't opt in and out of things that you want and don't affect you.
And I got a lot of people from the left tell me, yeah, but your insurance is way better now. I says, no, it's not. It's worse. And it's, you know, it's just one issue after the next. I mean, you know, immigration's a big issue now. What do you feel about that?
Well, I do think we need the wall. We need to, and the reason.
And who's going to pay for it?
Mexico! Okay, yes. Is that, wait a minute, is that a multiple choice one?
No.
Okay. Well, but the reason I think that is because what we have in office right now is a man that, with intention, does not want to protect our borders. He basically has thrown them wide open. And I guess, and I don't understand this, but I guess that there are just people that want open borders everywhere, but they want to start with us, okay? I don't really hear them clamoring to shut France's borders or to shut Mexico's borders or to shut Peru's borders. They want ours because everybody wants to come here. Even with all of our problems, it is still the place where you can come with nothing and make a life for yourself and change your family and your family that follows after you. So that's why they're doing that. Anyway, so we have President Obama.
I'll tell you, when he said he was going to come out and fundamentally change.
He meant it. We just didn't know what he meant.
Right.
Yeah,
that's right.
He's done it.
Right. I said,
yeah.
I'm thinking to myself, do I want the country fundamentally changed? I thought it was just a bunch of crap. He was saying, you know, but he really wanted to do it.
He did. And he's done it. And what's really bad is Congress is the one that has the power, and they're so scared of their own shadow, they won't stand up and hold his feet to the fire. When he gets on national TV and says, you know, I don't really care about Congress. I got a pen and a phone. That's all I need. There should have been an uproar. And unfortunately, the American people are busy. They're two jobs, husband and wife working, struggling to pay the bills, taxes going up, costs for food going up, want to make sure their kids get a good education. So they're worried about all the important stuff, and they're not paying attention to what's going on in Washington, D.C. There should have been an uproar. Wait a minute, you're not a king. You're not a king. You're just 1/3 of the government. But Congress won't even stand up because somebody goes, oh, I don't know, he might shut the government down and we'll get blamed for that. Well, maybe we should have.
I think they're just worried about keeping their jobs.
I think they're worried about being reelected too, and I think we need term limits. And I am a person running for Congress. I think we need term limits. Think what that would look like. Think what Congress would look like. It would be full of life if it turned over every 3 cycles, every 4 cycles. You know, say for Congress, you have.
It's good and bad because the term limits, you know, a lot of people in there do know what they're doing. You know, some people do know what they're doing. Some people really don't know what they're doing. Some people just want to get reelected. Some people are career politicians, and you know, it's a.
But you know, here's the thing: human beings adapt very quickly. We adapt very quickly. So if you say, all right, Congress, you have 3 terms. All right, Congress. Speaking of Congress, not Senate, you have 4 terms. Okay, they're going to adapt and they're going to learn how to do stuff much faster. And then you're going to have new ideas and fresh blood and fresh ideas and energy instead of this stale, same old that they have. That's what term limits would bring. And that's what it was designed to do. It was supposed to be a sacrifice. I stopped farming. I stopped earning money for my family.
Right. Well, you're right. That's true. That's very true.
How it was designed. I think the founding fathers would have a baby cow if they could see what it was today. I do.
Yeah.
If they could hear
Very true.
Obama say pen in a phone, I think they'd in the
Yeah,
head.
he's, my worst thing about him is the way he treats Israel, though.
I agree.
That's the worst. His whole Middle East thing and the way the Iran thing and the way he treats Israel and the way he apologized to everybody, and that's the worst.
He's
thing.
an embarrassment to us. Talk about apologizing to everybody.
He's got a good jump shot, though.
Oh, well, I guess. I don't know. That's important. Kind of. That's what we want in the President of the United States. But I agree with you.
He seems like an all right guy. He just doesn't, I just don't, that Israel thing is ridiculous the way.
I agree.
It's the first time since Israel came into existence in 1948, I think it was, that we have been at odds with Israel.
It's ridiculous. They are basically the pseudo 51st state.
Right.
I mean, and that's how we should see them. They are our allies over there, and they fight every day. Courageous, courageous people, and they live with it every day. I think this every time when we go to a Titans game and they do a flyover, or if I see sometimes military helicopters will go over just on their way to Fort Campbell, and I think, you know what? The people in the Middle East, they live with this every day. It's not. This is their daily life, seeing these things go over, being bombed, having to worry about where they're going. We get it every now and again. They live it every single day, and I don't know how they deal with that much stress every day. I guess you get used to it. So
what made you decide to run for Congress? Is this the first thing you ran for?
Yes, it is.
You didn't run for anything else, like council people or anything?
No. I helped my dad last time. My dad, Bob Ries, he ran for Congress. He won the nomination. And I love the people of this district. I love them. I love going out to the fairs. I love meeting the people. I love being one with them. It is my favorite thing to do. While he was running, people would tell me their stories, and they felt devalued. They felt devalued by their congressman. Now, you're going to talk to people that are going to say, no, my congressman's great, and he does a lot of good. But you're going to talk to people that feel devalued. It's not that we disagreed. Okay, I had a different viewpoint than him. Or I gave him an idea and he didn't take it seriously. They feel bad and devalued as a human, okay? And he's their representative. So when
he's not exactly very dynamic. I mean,
he's not. He's not. The thing I love is probably the thing that makes him want to chew glass. Being around the people. And we're polar opposites. Yeah, as far as personality goes, absolutely.
That's what I would say, you are opposites. Do you get to debate him at any time? Or?
I don't know, but I'll tell you what, I've seen him on the campaign trail more than I've ever seen him in my life.
But they don't have debates for these things? Because it seems like he must have a lot more money than you do.
Oh, he's got a ton more money.
Right.
But even if he dumps it all in this race, his numbers can only go up to here. He's got 26 years of folks like you that go, you know what, I really don't agree with what you did. And oh, by the way, on that Obamacare, I understood that he gave his word he wasn't going to vote for it. And I understand that
he was on the
last
fence.
Vote.
Yeah, he was one of the. He was on the fence all the time. That's why I remember, because I remember I went to see him, but I've never seen him before. I just went to see him. He's like this really intellectual type guy.
Well,
he's got that, that intellectual thing going on, and I was thinking like, this guy voted for it. It's a dumb thing.
Well, and he doesn't really, I don't think he lines up with the people in his district, and that's one of the reasons why I ran, or why I'm running. So I met these people, I would hear their stories, and they're people like me. They're people like you. This stuff that you're talking about, hey, I might just be one person, but this is how I feel. That's how the people in this district feel by and large. I know we have a small percentage in Davidson County that's very liberal. But you also have a huge portion of it that's rural, and they're normal folk, just like me and you. They're working class, blue collar.
Hey, I'm upper class. What do you mean?
Well, I'm a wannabe.
I'm an aristocrat. What do you mean? Talking about?
In God's eyes, we are, definitely, definitely. But my point is,
I'm up there.
If you're so intellectual that you can't relate to the people, I don't know how much good you're doing. And I love the people.
I don't hear about much of them at all. I hear about the other, something Black, or what's her name?
Oh, Diane Black, out on the other side.
I hear about
Marsha Blackburn.
Yeah, I heard
probably.
about her all the time. I never hear about Jim Cooper at all.
He's very good at what he does. He votes just enough non-liberal to stay in, and he cozies up to the Republican donors, which is the biggest part for me. In this district, that's actually my biggest problem. Republican donors who give to other Republican candidates in every other area give to Jim Cooper to keep him in, because it's not about right or wrong. To me and you, to regular folk, it's about right or wrong. To them, it's I've got a congressman in my back pocket and I'm going to keep him there.
Right.
So
I
that
got
is
access.
I have access.
Right.
And he's a socialite. And he goes to the Swan Ball and he socializes with these people, and he went to boarding school, and their children are special. And I'm not saying that they're not good human beings. I'm saying they represent a small portion of this district. The rest of the people are working class. They're blue collar like me. I got an invite to go to a fundraiser, and I felt like a hypocrite, because obviously I'm having to raise funds in order to be able to compete. Okay.
Right.
And I'm so blessed to have people that love me and support me and believe in the numbers, which, by the way, we need to talk about because they're good. And I said, you know, I feel like a little bit of a hypocrite trying to say I'd like to come to this fundraiser. Can I, you know, I'm running for Congress in this district, you know, can I come? And I said, but that's what you get when you have a blue collar person running for Congress. But yet, I should be the one running.
We're almost out of time, believe it or
Okay.
not.
All right, let me give you my numbers.
Okay.
Okay, here's the numbers. 18% of my district is Cheatham and Dixon counties.
Okay.
David Fox lost the mayoral election by 10 points. He got 45% of the votes. If I get 70% of those outer two counties, that's 12.5% of the vote, and I will win. 70% of Dixon and Cheatham, and 45%, the same number that David Fox got, and I'll win.
Okay.
So let's tell people my website.
We got you. What is it again? What is
It's
it?
StacyForCongress.com. STACY4Congress.com.
We're going to put it on the bottom of the screen.
Great.
StacyForCongress.com.
StacyForCongress.com.
And it's been on the bottom of the screen the whole time. Probably.
Oh, has it? Okay, great.
We got to go. My name is Jesse Goldberg, and we'll be back next week with another edition of the show. Which camera am I on? There I am.